Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 6th of March, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar. Dollar sinking lower again. Yesterday we showed how it had gone below the cloud. We're seeing that now, just flat at the moment, but we are bearish below the cloud. No real downside targets on the short-term chart, but of course we do have this long-term target hanging over us. So it's hard to say that the dollar is going to go lower in the short term, but we are bearish in the medium to long term. Looking at the euro, we're seeing euro strengthening, and we do have an upside target here, about 3% upside to 127. But again, that's at the moment not activated, so we need to wait for that. But at the moment, the euro is in bullish mode against the dollar. Against the Japanese yen, this is where it's most telling for the dollar. We did climb a little bit yesterday, but we're reversing again. We've got downside targets to 104.99, 104.57. That's between 1 and 1.4% downside. So we do have 3 downside targets here. That really does give us some conviction that the dollar is going to go lower against the yen. We are right on long-term support here, though, on the point figure chart, but we've already broken that on the medium-term chart, so it doesn't look like that will hold. Looking at sterling, sterling actually just recovering a little bit above the dollar at 138. So we are just back into bearish territory there. A slight dollar weakness, sterling strength. So we are in just bullish mode short term, but we do still have these short-term targets hanging over us to the downside. Looking at sterling against the euro, we're in bearish mode here on all 3 charts. Against the Swiss franc, we're just recovering slightly, and against the Australian dollar, we are bullish above the cloud. We do have targets to about 1.8%, so that's anywhere, well, 182 to 180, so anywhere between 1 and 2% upside there. Bitcoin fell back a little bit overnight, and we are just seeing it coming back and testing the cloud from above. But the key thing here is that we are still in bullish mode. We do have a new downside target to 10,496. That's 7% downside. That's nothing for Bitcoin, of course. We see these moves in a day quite easily. But at the moment, we are still in bullish mode, not quite yet on the medium-term chart bullish. The S&P 500, the US markets actually had a fairly strong day yesterday. S&P 500 was up. So that's looking better. We're still not quite above the cloud on the short-term chart, but we are clearly finding support on the shorter-term time frame. Nasdaq having another push for all-time highs, so that's good news. If we're seeing lower highs, higher lows, and testing this resistance level, that's triangular sort of pattern. That is good news for the market. So this is starting to look like it might be a continuation pattern. We're not through yet, but it's looking better and better. The Dow was also up 1.4%. That's a good recovery there as well. Looks like we're putting in a higher low at the moment, so that's good news. If we can hold this level, then that would be good. And of course, if we break that level, that starts to give us some conviction that we're breaking to a higher level as well. Russell 2000 wasn't up as strongly, up just under 1%, but again, that's quite good news for the market. Taking a look at the S&P future, we're bullish here on the cloud, just coming through, so it's looking better and better. Nasdaq E-mini also looking better there, and the FTSE 100 index also just sitting on the bottom there. So it just had a fairly strong start this morning, and we're just seeing there that we are up 1%, and that's really bouncing off the bottom, as we'd expect on that better overnight performance in the US. The DAX also has looked dire of late, but it's up 1.16% this morning, so that's looking stronger. And the CAC Current also looking stronger. But these markets are still bearish, medium and short term below the cloud. The Nikkei was up 1.2%. So that's looking better, but still bearish below the cloud. And the Hang Seng was up 2%. This has actually held its bull trend all the way. It's one of the few markets that's followed the US and stayed bullish above the cloud. The Chinese market was up 1%, still bearish there in the medium term, but got work to do. And the Sensex was really not heavily changed, up only 1/3%, so underperforming the US. And we do have quite a lot of short-term downside targets there at the moment, which is a bit of a worry. The Australian market did follow suit, up 1.14% overnight, so that's looking better. Brent Crude is just back above the $65 level. We are bullish above the cloud here at the moment, and WTI also just bullish above the cloud, so pushing higher there as well. long-term trend still very much in train. Taking a look at US nat gas, just back above that $2.70 level, and with some good upside targets. So maybe we're just starting to see signs of recovery, but this fall was fairly catastrophic for nat gas. Looking at some of the softs, there have been some quite big moves actually. Quite interestingly, we see coffee not that much change, but cocoa up 6%. It's a really big move in cocoa, and we see the chart here really jumping very much higher. Not got us into bullish territory on the long-term chart, but we just see that jump in prices. So we still do see soft commodities having that ability to jump there, and sugar not looking as good there. So, but it's still bearish in the medium and long term, short term trying. Gold sitting at this $1,321 level, really just struggling to get moving at the moment, just stuck in the doldrums there on the short term. We do have this upside target back to resistance 1362, that is activated, and on silver we've got much the same picture. We're bullish there as well. US 10-year yields pushing back a little bit higher, 2.8%, putting them back into bullish territory here. So we've got some upside targets. We're having another push, having paused for breath. Can we get back to that above that $3% level? Apple was up about 1/3% overnight, so that's looking. Sorry, just down slightly. That's looking bullish. Amazon is the one tech stock that really is still pushing higher, and we see there it was much higher. Google just struggling to get back above the short-term bearish trend there, so underperforming slightly. Facebook did break back above that 180 level, so that's really significant for Facebook. And then Microsoft also just pushing higher as well, so that trend continues. Really good news is that the US market looking considerably better after last night's rise. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.